friends, I'm sorry I could not join you, but my heart is with you because it's a very important issue we are talking about, and that is out of school children who are not decreasing even if there is a need by the parents, a desire that there should be less, that every child should go to school, but unfortunately that is not so. The main reason is poverty. My paper, therefore, is involving mothers in learning how to promote retention of those children who are very poor, who are in the rural area, or who are single parent children. Now, we in Bunyad in Pakistan, working with rural families, are absolutely certain that unless mothers are involved in the process of learning, unless they know what is learning, they are not that eager to track their child in school or be too bothered with it, because their primary aim is survival. My first slide shows that Pakistan, unfortunately, is the third highest in illiteracy of 10 plus age, which is very shameful, as our amendment says that every child between 5 and 16 under Article 25A should be going to school, but that is not so. The next slide shows what is the picture of this South Asian region. There too, we unfortunately don't play very well. The analysis of Pakistan is, as the slide shows, that unfortunately a lot of our children are not in school. They might be the age group 5 to 9, where there are 6+ million out of school. Then the next cohort is between the ages of 10 to 16. There nearly 14 million are not in school. And when we see the total 5 to 16, which we should put in school, they are nearly over 20 million, which is more than many countries whose total population that is. Youth illiteracy is not very encouraging. We see that 11+ million youngsters are not in school, and 4.2 million are males, and I'm afraid double that are females, who are 7 million. Illiterates, as I said before, are a growing number as climate change, as security reasons, and many others push factors are pushing our people out of the learning module. I go on to share some information which we took out of a very important advocacy NGO called Alif Alan, which says that 28 million children in the largest province from which I belong, Punjab, are still out of school, and that is the richest province, so you can see the condition. The next slide shows the situation of children in Punjab, where 7.2 million children of this primary school age who are enrolled, but by the class 3 there's a 3.2 million dropout, which is again shameful. I feel that 56% of children who are enrolled, 56% drop out before completing their primary, which is a total waste of energy, of material, and parents do not feel linked to change in the lives of their poverty. So that is why they don't encourage their children to retain their education, but more so there are other things also. They don't see the relevancy. Rural people have more poverty, they want more hands-on work. There is this gender disparity which is shameful. like the next slide shows, that 47% of the females have never been to school in Punjab. ये बंद हो गया. 47% of females have never been to school in Punjab, as compared to 28% of males. Now, all the parents which we in my NGO Bunyad have visited, fathers are not adverse to girls learning, but if the school is too far away, and if the mother doesn't understand the relevancy of education or learning or even the word, she is not very keen to send her child, her girl child, to school, because she makes her work at home. The next slide shows how the private school is slowly taking over, and 62% of all children between the ages of 5 to 16 are enrolled in private schools. So what we fear, the civil society, is we are worried that the state is abrogating its right to give good education quality to the children, and parents have to pay to send their child to the private school. The state of the education is quite bad, as this slide shows. It goes worse as when we take it higher. Less than 15% reach the high level of learning, which doesn't allow many more to reach the college, and therefore there's a stopgap of learning, of the vision improving and all, and that is an issue. Here the next slide shows what we in Bunyad are doing. We've been here now for a good 19 years, and we have made 1 million literate, mostly with our own initiative, with the support of good agencies and sound agencies like UNESCO, UNICEF, ILO, local philanthropists, even the provincial government. But the magnitude is so high. 20 million, 10 plus, are illiterate in my province alone, of Punjab. So we need much more help, and unfortunately the commitment of the country is education department stops at only school children and not for others. So when the mothers are left out, they do not encourage their child to study further. We saw this issue, and we took many initiatives. The latest is we have a library to encourage quality. So we have a rickshaw. I'm in South Asia, everyone knows a rickshaw. We started a rickshaw library. With the help of and the guidance of Mr. Ichiro, we started the mobile literacy through messaging, making the youth, the young women literate. We started quite a few CLCs, and they have developed into sustained schools now. Like that, we have got some formal schools, others, but 1 million is not a small issue. One million we have made literate, and still there's a long way to go. We work with the government, we work with the private sectors, we work with the corporates, but still we have to accelerate, have a collective effort to eliminate illiteracy. The Incheon Declaration was the SDGs doesn't look at poverty in through one narrow way, but it gives it a bigger dimension, how to eliminate illiteracy, poverty. Now poverty can only go when there are multiple things. Education alone will not help it. Livelihood alone will not help it. Water and sanitation alone will not help it. Microcredit alone will not help it. Health will not help it. It has to be a combination of all of that, and that is what the 2015 Incheon Declaration stated, that these are the benchmarks we have to reach, which MDGs have developed from. That experience has come into the SDGs, And not only the government, but us, the civil society, have to play our part, because the biggest importance is how the human being, the common citizen, the person, the mother, the child, the youth, how they can benefit. So again, I try to share that if you want a change, you have to change the attitude of the mother. The mother's vision to make a better tomorrow for her child is very important, and this is what we have seen. Now, learning alone was not attracting people. How did we reach these 1 million to make them literate? We made things like, you can call it CLC or you can call it Women's Resource Centers, but we encouraged women with other value-added items. For example, literacy for mothers where the child was going to school, microcredit, kitchen gardening, agriculture, seeds, how to plant them, how to preserve them. Then it was a religious, how the main steps, the outline of what are the religion edicts, which is showing that most religions are really the same. It is to look after the human being, the humanity. Lakeshore libraries, as I explained. Environment, safe water, how important it is. We started in some villages biogas to cut down the cost, because energy is another terrible problem surrounding countries, developing countries like my own. The mobile phone, as I said, and then we converted many girls from the mobile phone learning into computer literacy. We started digital hubs where we got the community ready to make these hubs into a lighthouse of technology, where people came, they used the Skype or OMI, and they sent their data, collected forms. So it's a multi-purpose sort of thing, which is now in few places started paying dividends. But to change the mindset was very important, which we did. We developed a lot of materials also, which were value added, so that it was relevant to that class. With that, then we openly flirted with the government, and we had first aid sessions. We got the line departments to come and give an expose of the different items which were relevant to them. For example, livestock is a very big component in our rural systems. Mostly 80% looked after by women. And we got the livestock department to come and help, train them, give them new visions on how to live. Some pictures which shows how we increased the enrollment and improved the retention. You see mothers there, you see children there, and you don't see a lot of frills, but we tried to, in the minimum, with minimum resources, try to reach out to the maximum people. The next also shows the pictures in various areas, how we called all the women together, gave them an orientation of the importance. You see, education doesn't give immediate results. For example, if you buy 2 chickens, you sell it, you get immediate cash. But here, we wanted to show them that sustained long-term fight from poverty was learning. It might not be immediate, but the long-term results were excellent. And to convince mothers and older family members, we came in problem a bit with the brothers, because they were mostly illiterate and they couldn't understand why their sisters should be literate. But eventually we got around them, telling them that if the woman could read the translation of the holy book in Urdu, she would be a better person. So they fell for that, and we were successful. Showing you some other value added, like we planted total about 20,000 trees last year with the help of the communities, and showing them that you plant a tree, you are blessed. That is part of our religion also. Taught people how to get their ID cards, what the importance of care is, and things like that, just to involve them. You see, learning alone doesn't excites you, but when you get hands on, then it excites you to improve, to get your curiosity going, as our slogan is, from apathy to action, and that's what we did. The social impact, as you see, that it was quite good, it was quite impressive. People got more and more involved, and we tried to link them up with life skills also, and you can just see that. Literacy via mobile phones, these are the few. We had learning points of health, of religious, of sanitation, of child care, of first aid, jokes, because without laughter there is nothing, and to make girls curious, the young girls curious to get our messages. We used to send the messages through the mobile phone, and they used to answer us also, because we didn't want to leave it on their intentions. We wanted to see how they reacted. There were some question answers that too did well, and again I thank Mr. Achiro for guiding us, because we were totally unaware of this side. The good thing is that the indicators, the success indicators, were quite a few. It gave girls confidence to handle their lives. It helped them in doing simple sums. For marketing, getting the bills of the electricity rightly said. 15% of the centers moved on to be sustained, and the whole issue of giving confidence, giving a new dimension, was reached. I think that is the biggest success indicator, because more and more people are coming to us. Please open it. We want our girls to study, because as I said before, when a boy is educated, even if he does class 5, he wants a literate woman at home. He wants that he can have someone who understands. So that too is becoming a push factor. Many fathers want their girls to at least know reading and writing, and when she becomes a mother, she pushes her child for long term to stay in school. So we firmly believe that mothers and older siblings must be in this whole scene, to stop dropouts, to encourage retention, and to fight poverty together. There were challenges, because when it grows, when you put a seed in the ground, it grows, it breaks the earth and comes out. In the same way, there were challenges. Number one challenge was that the youth are totally sidelined, and though there is a lot of lip service, unfortunately in the rural context it is not very well implemented, and that is what is worrying us. The girl is totally left behind, the woman and the girl are totally left behind in the process of learning, and that puts a stop, that hinders the growth, the intellectual growth or simulation to the child to attend. Why attend? And many actions came up. And then the social status also shakes up a bit when a woman knows how to read and write, when she can read the holy book, the Quran Sharif, with the translations. She gets more argumentative, she gets more confidence, she gets more greater vision, and the men were more comfortable than to have a literate woman. So there are many challenges. There are many challenges. And unfortunately, in my province again, in Punjab, there are not enough secondary schools. The secondary schools are very few, and we've not touched the MDGs as far as that goes. So now we are trying to make some sort of a commitment to our teachers to take on secondary school system on the private basis and work on that. We've started e-learning also in many things. So we're doing quite a few things, but everything is well documented, and this is the tragedy of illiteracy in Punjab, 10 plus, and the total population of 9 crores, which is I think 90 million. We have 3 crores illiterate, and And the way our population growth is growing, that's a huge problem. But the fight must go on. As Mother Teresa always said, it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Till we are alive, we have to make a difference. That is our thanks to the Almighty that we are living. It is my duty as a Pakistani, as a social activist, as a person in the global world, to reach out and to give the voice to the voiceless. My best wishes.